All right, 5:30. Call this meeting to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, thanks for coming tonight. I would like to remind you briefly that we ask you to please be quiet in the audience unless you've been invited up to speak. I say that because I don't want anybody to clap when I announce that you're getting a new mayor at the next meeting. Okay, so no applause. Beautiful self-control. Thank you for that. I also wanted to ask Jen to discuss a couple items. There's some misinformation going around town that there are some problems that are not really problems. Could you just jump in and explain what's going on with those? We keep hearing these comments.
First, we're going to address, there's some information out there that none of the sump pumps at City Hall are working. And so Kelly put together some information on that. I was going to let her address that one.
This is back in 2010. We were having some issues at City Hall, and that's when they had this terrible smell. And we had a different commission then. And we couldn't figure out where it was coming from. Oh, it wasn't the commission that smelled, by the way. I wasn't saying that. We had this terrible smell in the building, and we couldn't figure out where it was coming from. Well, they discovered that in the men's restroom that the urinals were flowing directly into the wall. And so anyway, we had those repaired. This was at a meeting on July 22nd, 2010. Where the left shows the hole, and then the right is after it was repaired. And as part of that meeting, we also had some issues in the old boiler room and the old PD break room, which on the original plans was a meter repair room, which I found out when I did some historical research on this building. But anyway, those sump pumps were installed in July of 2010, and that's a picture of them. The one on, the one on the left, I believe, is the boiler room? No, the PD break room, that's right. I'm sorry. The glasses only work so far. And then the one on the right is the boiler room. But anyway, those were replaced in 2010. Then there's another sump pump that's out in front under a big manhole, and that was replaced. I asked Terry when. He said it was recently. He said he thinks it has been since Mickey was here. But that sump pump was recently replaced. It's not the original one because their crews did that work. We did have to go back like in August because we had to put some channeling in on the boiler room side because it wasn't flowing like it should have, and we had that repaired as well. But when we left the building in August, these two sump pumps were working, and then the last time they checked the third one that Water and Sewer had replaced, they believe it was probably in the spring of 2016, they were functioning also. So that is not the reason that we vacated City Hall.
All right. Thank you for clearing that up. Appreciate it.
The next item that we'd like to address is the airport land tract. There's been a lot of commentary seen about the pricing and the rejection of that contract. You can see we just recently accepted bids for Tract B, and you can see that annual price came in at the lowest annual price in the last 10 years. That's less than half of what we got for the last 3-year period. And if you go all the way back to 2006, that's a 30%, that's 50% decrease. And so part of our recommendation, there were a couple things that played into it. One thing that hasn't been mentioned in the letters to the editor is the $20,000 that the city pays for the Lime program. So that cost isn't being included in what's been mentioned in the paper. And we also contacted the Department of Agriculture to make sure that we were getting a reasonable bid. They hesitated. They did not hesitate to say, that is a below bid. That is unbelievably low what you're being asked to give that land up for. So we thought we could rebid it again later and try to get a competitive price. I'm all about making money for the city, but I don't think that we're a charitable program where we're going to take less than anyone else would take for their land.
As I remember, we only had one bid at that meeting, too.
We did only have one bid.
So the three of us voted, or the commission voted not to accept the bid, the one bid we got. Okay.
And that can go back out again this spring. There's no problem with that.
Okay, great. Thank you. Were there any other items that we needed to clear up at this point?
No, that's okay. So.
All right. We have city licenses listed here for 5 firms that we're publishing. Next, we have appointments. We have the Planning Commission, Board of Zoning Appeals. This one we have two members that are eligible for reappointment, Philip Umloff and Steve McBride. And they're both eligible, and they both are interested in taking another term, so I am going to reappoint those two to Planning Commission. And then we have one application for the other position, which is open, and that's Brian Beecham. So I would like to appoint those three, Philip Unloff, Steve McBride for his second term, and Brian Beecham for his first term. Could I have a second on that?
Second.
All right. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All right. Thank you, gentlemen. Now, on the Historic Preservation Committee, we have John Koshin has been on it for 5 terms, which is wonderful. We love having John Koshin on it, but we do have a resolution that was passed in 2011 recommending that members of committees be limited to 2 consecutive terms if we can get qualified people to step in. So as much as I love John Koshin, we did get 2. Mark Easter is a licensed professional engineer, and Tom Hoffert is actually an archaeologist. And those are 2 of the careers that they would like to have on this board. So I'd like to appoint Mark Easter and Tom Hoffert to the Historical Preservation Committee. Can I have a second on that?
Second.
All right. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right. Thank you, gentlemen. Okay, next we have adoption of the consent agenda. Anything we want to pull off of there to discuss?
I'd like to bring item D into discussion.
D?
D.
All right. Wonderful. I'd like to do that too. Anything else, Leonard?
That was
Just
the
one.
one.
Fred, anything for you? All right. I'd like to move that we adopt the consent agenda, items A, B, C, E, F, and G. May I have a second?
I'll second the motion.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All right. And item D, consider an ordinance adjusting the solid waste rates as budgeted. That was very confusing to me also.
Yeah, that was the reason I requested, because of the confusion of the way the ordinance or the item read, to consider an ordinance adjusting the solid waste rates as budget effective. And then the city staff recommended not adopting the rate increase at this time. I just wanted to make sure that we were clear that
Knew what we were voting for.
Yes,
Yeah.
so we were not adopting the resolution, but we were tabling it.
I agree.
So
Okay.
I'd
So
like-
we're not raising solid waste rates.
yeah, I'd like to make a motion that we do not issue an ordinance adjusting the solid waste rates.
I'll second. All in favor, please say aye.
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 All right. Thank you, Leonard. I got several calls on that one. Okay, cereal malt beverage licenses. We have 13 malt beverage licenses to renew. Jumpstart at 3024 West Main, Casey's, G&W, Gramps, Gunners, Half Pints, Jiffy Mart, Mikey's, Pizza Hut, Stony Bees, Walgreens, Walmart, and Jumpstart at 401 West Main. All right. May I have a motion to approve those?
So moved.
All right.
I'll second the motion.
All right. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Did you speak on
Aye.
that, Fred? Okay. Thanks. All right. Next, item I, public hearing to consider revising the 2016 budget.
These are just the same numbers that were presented at the meeting a week and a half ago. The adjustments are minimal to the general fund. We are simply increasing the expenditures allowed by the amount approved for the Ash Youth Center roof because that needs to be encumbered since that has been approved. For the library fund, there was a small dollar amount of funds last year that didn't get paid out that need to be included in this year, so there's an increase for that. And then the sanitation budget, this is one of those things where we budget so far in advance that we did not have the $375,000 for the Polycart program budgeted last year. I am restoring that $375,000. $319,000 of that has been spent on the fire and EMS building. And then later in this evening, Mike Pessour is going to talk to you about a possible truck purchase that he would like to use the remaining portion of that $375,000 for. Also, the $119,000 that we spent on a sanitation truck had actually been budgeted last year, but we didn't make that purchase till this year, so now I need to move that budget authority to this year. So those are the changes that I would like to have approved.
Okay. Gentlemen, any questions?
Gets us
No,
through.
I don't.
I mean, that encumbers all the money in cash that we need to encumber for to finish out because the end of the year is December 31st, correct?
Right.
Leonard, you okay?
No, I don't have any questions.
All right. All right, so we're ready for a motion then? How shall we word that one?
I'd propose, I move that we
Adopt.
adopt the amended budgets for the general fund, library fund, and sanitation fund as published.
Is that close enough, Jen?
Perfect.
Okay, great. I'll second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All right, great. Thank you. Okay, item J. We have a gentleman here to speak to us about reducing our energy usage at our temporary city hall. Sir, would you come on down to the microphone? You know, this is my favorite topic, so I'd let you talk all night, but
Well, one of my favorite ones also.
yeah.
Well, Mr. Mayor and Council, thanks for inviting me in tonight. Through city staff, we've been talking about the temporary City Hall building and the energy use over there. So we know that that building was previously a hospital, and all of its mechanical systems are set up that way. So it has utility costs that are in line with what a hospital would be. And there's a few slides here that we'll kind of go through, and we'll talk about what we've looked at today and maybe some plans for the future. So we did a utility bill analysis, and we'll talk a little bit more about that in a moment. But we put all the utility bills that we had for the last year in the Energy Star database in the Portfolio Manager. And when you do that, you tell it what type of building you're looking at, the square footage, the number of people, the number of computers. You give it all these characteristics of the building, and then it spits out a value. And that value will be somewhere between 1 and 100. So Energy Star, we've all seen that on our appliances that we buy. We see that Energy Star rating. Well, this is the same thing. It's just for buildings. The national median is 50. And when we looked at this building, with the current operation of it, its Energy Star rating was 1. There's a page here that'll show that in a moment. But so that means that in the Energy Star database that has over 1 trillion square feet in it, we're not doing very good for office buildings. If we were to convert that to a hospital, you're not doing bad, because it was $3.12 a square foot for the utilities. Here's the chart that shows that. So the national median for an office building would be 96 cents a square foot. An Energy Star rating of 75, that gets you to 71 cents a square foot. So we could realistically look at a pretty easy $2 a square foot savings on this building if it was operating like an office building instead of operating like a hospital. So that's kind of, when we look at that, that's the thing that really throws up the red flag for us and what we can do. So we go to the next slide there. There's a lot of opportunities for improvement. First, modify the hospital HVAC to an office-type HVAC. So in a hospital, we have a lot of constant volume, a lot of reheat, a lot of outside air, a lot of fresh air that comes in. There like lots of air changes in surgery suites, procedure rooms, MICU areas, patient rooms. You know, they're trying to get all the bad stuff out and bring fresh, good stuff in. Well, there's a lot of energy associated with conditioning that outside air. Imagine this morning at -2, and we're bringing in thousands of CFM of fresh air, and we've got to warm that up to 55 degrees to deliver it to the space. And then if there's heating needs, then we have to heat that air even further. So take the reverse side of that and do it in the middle of summer when it's 100 degrees and you're bringing in all that warm, moist air. We have to treat it also. So we'd like to convert the hospital HVAC to an office HVAC, which will reduce the CFM, which reduces the loads on the air handlers, the chillers, and the boilers. So we reduce the airflow changes. Typically in some of those rooms up there, they're 1,500 to 2,000 CFM per room now. We'll take that down to 600 to 800 CFM. So you can see we're going to cut those air changes in half. We'll also reset the chilled water temps. On the chiller plant out there, they would run 42-degree chilled water to maintain very dry air going into surgery. Well, that has a lot of energy cost associated with trying to get that water that cold. So we can, on a day like today, a chiller shouldn't even be running in an office building if it's got outside air capabilities. And we should be able to reset that water temp based on outside air temp and internal office conditions. So a lot of energy savings associated with that. A lot of the building still has constant volume air handling units. So that means we turn them on and they run full blast all the time. In an office building, we can vary the speed of those fans and reduce our fan energy, and then that also relates going back to the central plant also, saves energy on chilled water and steam and hot water there also. Up on the second floor and part of the first floor, there's some areas that are all constant volume zones with reheat valves, and we can put VAV boxes on those so we can take advantage even further of being able to vary the air handlers, CFM. So we can expand the economizer operation. Right now there's a lot of fresh air being pulled in. A couple of the air handlers have half of their CFM is coming from outside right now. So we can take the economizers and trim them down with some CO2 control. We put in CO2 monitors in the space, and as long as those levels stay down, then we can really minimize that outside air coming into the building and just maintain a little positive pressure. So that's called comparative enthalpy economizing. So we look at the air inside, look at the air outside, and bring in, if it's outside's better than what's inside, bring that in, otherwise don't. So there's also setting up schedules. Right now everything runs 24/7. A hospital would run 24/7, so that's what the building's doing today. We want to be able to zone out the areas and run it when you need to run it. There's exhaust fans. There's 13 exhaust fans across the roof that are associated with different areas to exhaust out the bad air. We're going to take control of those, make sure they're turned off. Down the road, there's a possibility of converting steam boilers over to hot water, but not what we're talking today with gas prices as low as they are today. That's just, there's not a good savings there, so not a good payback. So. One of the first things we looked at was putting frequency drives on the air handlers. If we were to put 5 frequency drives on the air handlers, that would, with the cost of that project, it would be a simple payback of less than half a year. So that's the drives on fans, huge savings there. So some of the bullet items up there, 25% of the building's electricity is consumed by the fan horsepower. If we reduce the chilled water flow by varying it using frequency drives, there's a huge savings there. Hospitals, on a national average, 55% of the natural gas consumed in a hospital is directly related to reheating the air in patient rooms. So, I mean, it's a hospital. That's just the way it was set up. So we need to get off of all those hospital standards. Here's a little description of the areas and the air handlers that it served and some possible retrofits in these areas. So down in the lower level, the green zone there, that's air handler 11. It has the 911 area. It's got the IT closet, some other office areas. Currently, the building has some existing VAVs and a few fan coils in some of the areas on this floor. I was with, when the hospital had the building, I'm with the Siemens rep out of Wichita, and we did the control work in there. So I'm familiar with the building. That's why I can talk about what's in the different areas.
When it was built, is that what you said?
Mm-hmm. Well, as it was remodeled, the hospital over the years, they recognized that energy was a huge cost, and they would, as they had funds, they would slowly upgrade the building, and that's what we were doing with those when it came time for them to close the building. We're involved with the chiller plant that went in, the boiler plant, and those things too. So anyhow, there's in here there's 10 zones down there that still need to be retrofitted with VAV boxes, and then of course the area is scheduled and taking proper control of the air handlers for an office environment. So some of the areas will be shut off. Some will be they're used for storage now. We've talked about the IT room there, putting a separate little air conditioner on it so that the whole building doesn't have to have the air conditioner running just for the IT closet. So anyhow, that's the first floor. The old surgery area, that's currently unoccupied, so we can take and just do night setback with those air handlers and just maintain a little temp and humidity in there to keep it from getting stale and stagnant and growing ugly things that we don't talk about when we talk about buildings. So the old ER area, that's definitely one that can have, there's lots of fresh air going in there, so we'll retrofit it. The MRI area, that has its own air handler, its own, there's a couple of fan coils, little VAVs in there, but it's kind of a separate little unit. It does have outside air capabilities, and it does have the MRI chiller, but it's not standalone, but during the wintertime, we can go on outside air over there all the time. So they kind of take care of their own equipment over there, so that's not a burden on the city. So. The second floor, this is one of the big areas for improvement. There's 2 air handlers up there, air handler 12 and 13. Both of those need the frequency drives on them. The green zone is air handler 12 and the blue one is 13, or vice versa. But you've got the MICU area, you've got a lot of patient area up there. So what we're looking at there is adding on the ducts that run out to each one of what's offices now, go in and put a VAV box with a new hot water coil. When we do that, put the hot water coil in there sized for 140 degree hot water, which means it's a little bit bigger coil, gives you a little better heat transfer. The old ones that are in the duct right now are 180 degree coils, so they're a small single pass, 1 row coil. So if we try later on to lower our water temps down for efficiency, we won't have enough BTU content coming off of those coils. So that's why you change to 140 degree rated coil. But up there, once again, do all the outdoor reset, duct static pressure reset, and write down that list there. So out in the chiller plant, this is one of the things to down the road to consider. There are 2 300-ton chillers out there. They are trained 3-stage centrifugal chillers, great machines. They one of them has 17,900 hours on it, and the other one has 17,000 hours on it. They're a third of the way through their useful life, so they're new. They're in good shape. When they get up into that 50,000 hour life range, you're going to have to start. There'll be some service work that needs to be done on those. But these chillers have capabilities of dialing down to about 40% of their load. So as we reduce load on the building, we've got to do some proper control, staging of those chillers so that we don't damage them. When we get below 40%, those machines will start to surge. And a day like today, they were out there running with 46 degree return water, 45 degree supply water, and you could hear the machines out there surging just a little bit. They were just barely doing any work, and they should have been off today. So we ought to be on outside air if we can do that. So we want to not short cycle those chillers and
so
and
about
not run them in a surge
120 tons is as low as we can go.
Yeah. So, eventually, out in the boiler plant, you'll want to convert the steam, the high pressure steam. Right now, it's running from 56 to 80 psi, depending on the start point and the shutdown point. So that's a lot of steam pressure. A hospital needed that. It needed it for sterilizers and equipment. If we took a school today that was running a low pressure boiler system, 15 pounds would be the max. So hot water is so much more energy efficient. To give you an idea of that, to change 1 pound of water, 1 degree Fahrenheit takes 1 BTU. Okay? To change 1 pound of water from 212 degree water to 212 degree steam takes 977 BTUs. So that load just to change to steam, that's just a tremendous amount of gas that we have to use to do that. So down the road, that'll be something you would definitely want to look at in this building. So we visited with Westar. Currently, there's 2 services in the building, one to the central plant and one to the building. Currently, you're on the medium general service, commercial and industrial customers with electrical demand greater than 200 kW are eligible for that service. This building now is being penalized because the consumption is low enough that there are months that you pay the minimum 200 kW in demand. So by getting tighter control of it, we're going to draw it down even further. So we're going to be well below that 200 kW value. And Westar has told us that, hey, you get that down, prove you're going to be down there, we'll switch you to the small general service, which has some considerable savings associated with that. So, additional opportunities, if we were to talk about a big performance solutions project and really talk about how to make this building a top Energy Star performer, we'd talk about a lighting retrofit. We talked about the boiler retrofit, peak demand limiting, data analytics and assets management. That's another tool that you can put on top of programs to identify problems the second they're happening. You know, you have a hot water valve and a chilled water valve that open simultaneously. That's wasting energy. So computers are smart enough to send out that alarm and let you know when those things are happening. If money was no object and you wanted to have the absolute best, you might do a variable refrigerant flow system or a ground source water source heat pump system. There's lots of other ways to go about mechanical systems for a building. One of the other things is you may look at a chiller replacement down the road. There's markets out there where you could sell one of these 300-ton chillers, and not for a whole lot of money, but for some money, and you could put in a smaller chiller that would more match the load to what the building's doing today. Just lots of opportunities there.
Great.
Questions?
The control system that's in there now is existing control system, adaptable to cover and to give the proper readouts for staff to be able to do the efficiencies that need to be done, identify, isolate problems, all that type of thing.
Yeah. It's a Siemens control system. Siemens has been around for a long, long time. We've repped them since 1986 there, and we're out of Wichita and do a lot here in southeast Kansas. Whether this is a good thing or not, that thermostat's one that I actually installed a number of years ago.
We hate it.
Strike one. Anyhow, so no, it was very expandable. The Siemens controls, that's one of the nice things about them is they're very expandable. It could take over literally every building in the city of Independence and the surrounding area. Harvard University has over 400 buildings, and they're all tied to one Siemens control system. So very expandable. They also maintain one of the things that they've done that other manufacturers have not is they maintain their backwards compatibility. So things that we installed back in 1986, 87 are compatible with stuff that we install today.
Just briefly, how long has Building Controls and Services been in business?
Ken Stoppel is the owner of our company. He started it in 1985.
85,
Yep.
okay. And you've got offices in Wichita and Kansas City, I
Wichita
believe.
and Kansas City.
Okay.
Yep.
But you're down here a lot.
Oh, yeah. No, we do work for the Pittsburgh Public Schools. We do work for Neodesha. We do work Allen County Community College, Independence Community College, Humboldt, Fort Scott. All
Right.
over. So
you're talking about a lot of equipment change to make this. It's more than just a control sequence. When you add variable air volume boxes to the constant box, you're changing out the whole box in the ductwork.
Yes, that is correct. Now, there is no box in the ductwork today. It's just a solid duct making a run over, and there's a coil that is in that ductwork that's for heating purposes.
Right.
So it's constant volume coming through this ductwork. So we're talking about taking out that coil and adding a VAV box in its place and just repiping the new coil there. And there's new controls on it. That's one of the keys to it.
Right.
They're proposing a major investment.
That's what I was understanding, because the change from steam to hot water, that's a boiler replacement, isn't it?
That's a much more major replacement, and we're not talking about that here. Down the road, that's a
Yeah.
possibility.
But even all the VAV boxes and VFDs are going to be
Yeah.
hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And we've got a lot to decide on this building before we invest anything, but we very much appreciate your time and effort. And I don't know. I don't know where we want to go. You know, whether we want to get other proposals or wait till we decide what we're going to do with this building, or
Well, the target savings you got down there is $2 a square foot. So that means that we're in the $1.12 area, which is, you know, if the national mean is 96 cents, so we're almost there.
Yep.
Is it the major investment that gets to the 96 cents, or is that achievable with other efficiencies that you can gain
So we focused.
system-wide, or?
We focused on mostly the mechanical things, the low-hanging fruit, the easy things to get to. What are your big consumers today? But start adding a lighting retrofit in there. You go into the hospital now, into the building now, there's lots of lighting. Three big troffers in
LED
every.
stuff, is that?
You could change that out to T5s, T8s, go to LEDs, and yeah.
any other questions or comments at this point?
So this was just basically a report on what you've done so far.
Yeah.
And that's all we're looking at is just a report at this time, correct?
We are.
Well-
Looking for recommendations.
Yeah.
But part of the contract with Trainer was to look at MEP, so we're kind of double addressing the issue, it appears, if I'm not looking at it right.
No, that's why I say I think we're putting the cart before the horse a little bit here until we've gone through the trainer project. But yeah, but it's great information.
It is,
We know we have lots of opportunities there
right.
to save a lot of money on our utility bills.
Yep. Yeah, that's one of the things that staff and I looked at was every month, if we can potentially save $100,000 a year for every month that we delay going down the path here, we're costing extra money. We're paying that to Westar. So
Right.
yeah,
Right.
it's money that could be back in your pockets.
Yeah.
All right, Steve, thank you
Okay,
very much.
great.
We,
No,
we
thank
really
you, guys.
appreciate your
Thank
time and
you.
effort on this.
Interesting.
All right, speaking of Trainer, that's item K. Consider an agreement with Trainer for City Hall and Public Safety Center programming and feasibility study. We have a contract there. Tim, I'm assuming you didn't put that together.
I did.
Okay. I figured that was the case. Okay. Gentlemen, what's your pleasure on this? Are we ready to move forward at the level we talked about last time?
And the only thing I didn't notice that it was addressed was, and it's in his Article 4, additional services, environmental studies. It hasn't been addressed that I saw in the existing City Hall, any testing or determination of type of mold or the extent. And I wasn't for sure how Andy proposed to address that. It looks like it, from what I was seeing in the scope of work, it was more visual and just making sure we had all the information where we stood on the environmental study.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to call him? I have a speakerphone and his number if you need to call him.
And that's what you mentioned was fair. In number 2, it says they evaluate the 1916 City Hall. It doesn't directly address that, what you asked, which is why it's fair. We probably ought to ask about that. I mean,
He
that's
said
that's a pretty broad
Well, some of the
look at it.
some of the things that we
They
heard.
could not address it.
Some of the things we heard initially was it's everywhere, it's in the plaster, do we need to know more at that time of what type or or what, just if we're willing to go on with an additional charge to determine, but it seems like maybe we want it defined at this point.
See, it's A there says review the exterior envelope and roof, utilizing our in-house masonry and envelope experts. I mean, that's somewhat more MEP probably. But it does say structural. I think it's a fair question to ask
Yeah. You guys want to get him on the phone?
if he's there.
Yeah.
He said he'd be available.
Good.
Do I need to dial anything to get out of the building?
You need to push it and do a 9. 2 nines. 9
2
twice.
nines.
And then a 1.
Should we put one of our microphones over here by this so that Larry can hear it? That ought to do it. How's that, Larry?
Hello, it's Andy.
Andy, hi. It's Gary Hogsett. I've got you on the speakerphone at the City Commission meeting.
Okay, great.
Can you handle a couple questions?
I sure can.
Okay. I'm going to let Leonard start.
Okay, in reviewing your scope of work and then looking at the standard form of agreement, Article 4.1, talking about additional services, it outlines additional service as environmental studies. Since the building, the original building, did have some issues with environmental quality, to do a accurate analysis, shouldn't that be included as part of the scope of the work?
What we have included as part of our scope of work is recommendations of what studies should be accomplished. And so whether that is a industrial hygienist to look at mold conditions within the building or some sort of hazardous material abatement, what we'll do is we'll evaluate and then put those scopes together and present those to the commission to make recommendations of which ones you want to move forward with.
Okay.
It's not included.
Basically covers it then.
Yeah, you're not going to get into actual testing, but you'll just do a visual survey. You'll save this analysis more for,
Yes, we would not do the actual testing on any of that. We would work with consultants that we are familiar with to be able to provide recommendations and then provide then the commission with a scope of work that then the city could get proposals if you wanted to move forward on those scopes.
Okay, so your review would visually kind of pinpoint what was noticeably areas of concern that could be addressed later on. Is that what you were saying?
That is correct.
Okay. The concept design, is that the same as preliminary design in a typical 5-phase?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Yes, it is.
So from what we're getting here, with the concept design would fulfill any future requirements of a preliminary design, so we'd go direct to design development.
Yes, you would have the basis to be able to move. I would say you halfway through a schematic design package. At that point in time, you would have a program and a base floor plan that you can then continue to work on through a design document stage.
Okay. So we wouldn't have to go back to square one.
You would not.
Yeah.
It sets
No,
a baseline, so to speak. I mean, the schematic design is the concept, the start, basically.
Right. And preliminary, usually it's identified as preliminary design, design development,
Yeah.
contract, document bidding, and construction administration. So we're going to go approximately halfway through preliminary design phase.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Any other questions for Andy? You okay, Leonard?
Oh, okay.
All
I
right.
mean, everything else I read in there was basically what we talked about and what he had presented
Right. Right.
the last time, our last meeting.
Andy, we're going to let you go.
Okay, I appreciate it. Thank you, Commissioners.
Thanks a million.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. All right. So are you gentlemen wanting to take action on this?
I think it gives us, like we talked about last time, I know it's quite a bit of money, but, you know, it sure gives us a roadmap to be able to move forward, and not just for the city hall, because it also talks about other infrastructure issues such as the water plant, roads, sewers, water, all those types of things, which, you know, before you go spending a lot of money on one object, you better have a full picture in your purview, because we don't have an infinite number of dollars to spend. And so it really does boil down to prioritizing. What do we prioritize? Might be City Hall, might be the water plant, might be something else. I don't know.
And it's going to be pulling in some of the questions that were just presented in the previous item,
Yeah.
too, to start letting us look at dollar figures long term. One of the features he had was life cycle costs, which will be really important to have in evaluating everything.
Yeah,
Okay.
I thought it was interesting, the comments from BCS about the 17,000 hours for existing chillers.
Yeah.
I mean, you're
Chillers are fairly new,
Yeah.
in good shape. They're good chillers.
you probably have 2/3, maybe more, life cycle left there, which I would have never guessed that. I mean, but I don't know that. I don't know that. But my head.
Okay. Somebody want to make a motion then?
And with this not being in our budget, funding will come from which?
I'm assuming this is related to facilities improvement and will come out of the special use sales tax,
Okay, good.
That's what I.
which we budget to spend
that's
that every
what
year,
my-
so you're
that's
good
what my
to.
thought. I mean, I don't know what better way to at least set that up for future budgeting. I don't know how else to do it.
But that fund, every year we budget
Yeah,
to
yeah,
spend the balance in
I
it, so
know.
we have the
Yeah.
budget authority to do that now.
Right.
Revising the budget isn't an issue, if that's what your question is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just want to make sure we're not taking money from some other
No.
phase that we need or program we need to do that just to go with this. So this will be out of the special use sales tax.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm good with it.
Okay. Do I hear a motion?
I make a motion that we proceed and authorize the signing of the agreement with Trainer HL for City Hall and Public Safety Center programming and facility study.
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
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 All right, 3-0. Okay.
I'm excited about that. I think that's one of the. I think that's a good move on our part.
Good.
Sets a roadmap.
All right. Next we have L. Our city inspector is here. Considering some more condemnations.
Yes.
Hey, Don.
How are you guys?
We're having a ball, man.
It sounds like it out there.
Okay, you want to start at 404 North 4th, it
Yeah.
looks like.
There was a structure fire here in the kitchen, spread to other parts of the structure. The owners of this structure actually want to have the structure taken down, so we'll need to go through the condemnation process to have that done.
Are they?
going to go ahead with the removal of it, or are they going to wait for the condemnation?
They're going to go ahead and do that.
Okay.
At least that's their conversation that they had with me about a week ago. That's their plan, is to go ahead and take that down.
Okay.
So it probably will be down before our February meeting.
Do we want to go ahead and take action anyway, just in case it's
Yes,
not?
just in case it
I think
isn't.
I think that's been our past practice,
Yeah.
is to, especially on fires, would involve the fire.
And then I move that we set a date of February 23rd at 5:30 p.m. for a public hearing to consider the condemnation of 404 North 4th Street.
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
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 All right, 3-0. Don?
615 and a half North 8th. Also, this was another structure fire, garage apartment. The owner is planning on taking that down as well.
Okay. Any questions for Don on that one?
No.
Okay, then I move that we set the date of February 23rd, 2017 at 5:30 for a public hearing to consider condemnation of 725 North Penn.
6:15 and a half.
Sorry, 615 F North 8th. Wow. Good thing you're keeping me in line. Okay, 615 F North 8th. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
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 All right, 3-0. Dawn? Confuse me again
725. This is one we've had several complaints on, and looking at it, there has been some work to clean up the yard and different things around the house, but there is a lot of trash and different things inside the house. Not been able to go inside the house, but there have been quite a number of complaints and issues with that. We do have, this has changed ownership recently, and we do have the new owner. She is here and would like a chance to speak to you.
Great, welcome. Thanks for coming.
Hi, my name is Joan Robertson. We recently bought this house. The woman that had it before us was a very bad cat hoarder and trash hoarder. We've got the first floor cleaned out pretty much. The second floor we're still working on. We do have a big dumpster at the property.
I see
We'd
that.
like to keep it and fix it up.
Did you say cat hoarder?
Cat hoarder and garbage hoarder. There was
Nice.
all kinds of mess in there.
Wow, okay.
But we have a couple people working with us to clean it up, and they've been throwing it in the dumpster.
And when did you purchase it?
About 2 months ago, maybe.
Okay, so you're getting after it.
Huh?
So you're getting after it then, it looks like.
Yeah, we're trying to. We want to keep it and maybe get our money back out of it somehow after it's repaired and stuff.
Right, great.
And we'd like to have some time to go ahead and try to do that.
Would you be willing to work out a timeline with Don to establish when those dates and stuff would be?
Yes.
Yeah, if you would work with Don and create a timeline that you'll agree to stick to,
Okay.
I think that would be great.
Because we want to help you.
Love
that. Yeah.
We want to help you do it.
And he can go inside it now. He just has to let me know when so I can bring the key.
Sure. You got all the cats out.
Because you need to.
Yeah, all the animals are gone.
Don appreciates that.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate you coming. Good luck with that.
Thank you.
So
Is
your
that
recommendation
Joanne?
on that, Don, is too?
Or Joan?
I think to go forward through the normal process, and that allows us to meet with her regularly and set the timelines. As long as she meets the timelines, we won't have any issues.
Which is what we've done in the past.
Yes.
So go ahead and schedule a public hearing? Are you saying go ahead and schedule a public
Yes.
hearing?
And the owner's aware that that was the possibility that would happen
Yes.
tonight. And
I wish I hadn't let her walk away, though.
yeah, because she's standing right there.
Oh, there she is.
That's why I asked the question.
Thank you.
Well, if we schedule it for a hearing, at the hearing, we can actually
Yeah.
table action.
Right.
Yeah.
So, Joan, typically we go ahead and schedule the hearing, and then if you're making good progress and you agree to work with our city inspector, we won't take action to condemn it. But we'll go ahead and schedule a hearing now at this point. All right, thanks.
Yes, we'll let you know. I'll call you, and then we'll send you a letter as well to let you know.
Thank you, Joan.
Okay. Okay. Well, I'd make a motion then that we set February 23rd, 2017 at 5:30 p.m. for a public hearing to consider condemnation of 725 North Penn Avenue.
I'll second. All in favor, please say aye.
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 All right, 3-0, Jen. Okay, Don, you're on a roll.
Yeah, 800 South 6. Looked at this and spoke with some of the neighbors. Apparently people have been coming and going, kind of in bad conditions, not been taken care of, according to the neighbors over a year that anybody's actually lived in it. So it would be my recommendation that we set a date for a public hearing to consider condemnation of this.
Any
property.
contact with the owner?
No, I've not received any contact from the owner. Don't know
Is
if
it-
the owner is here or not.
Rebecca Sue? Okay. All right. Gentlemen, any questions for Don? Okay. Then I move that we set the date of February 23rd, 2017 at 5:30 p.m. for a public hearing to consider condemnation of 800 South 6th Street. May I have a
I'll
second?
second the motion.
All right. Thank you, Leonard. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All right. 1124 West Maple.
Yes, this one, I have driven by this many times, and it just gets worse and worse and worse. I've never seen that car ever leave the driveway. And now
For 3 years.
and now the carport garage has fallen in, and so I think would very much like to move forward with taking the
Is
structure
this
out.
dangerous and unsafe in your mind, Don?
It is dangerous and unsafe. Yes.
So if we declared it that, then we could,
Move right away.
yeah. Because we already have some we're bidding, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Is that?
That's what you guys are asking.
Is it imminent?
You're asking if
That's what
this is
Fred's
an
asking.
imminent danger,
Yeah,
correct?
I'm at, yeah, if it's an imminent safety hazard.
It's getting to that point. I mean, I don't think the structure itself is going to fall down, but it's not in good shape. I would, if we were to condemn it on February 23rd, I would at that time recommend that we take it down as soon as possible.
Okay.
I'd make a motion that we proceed and set a hearing for February 23rd, 2017 at 5:30 p.m. to review the property as dangerous and unsafe.
Thank you,
I'll
Leonard.
second.
All right. Thank you, Fred. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All right. 3-0. One more.
Two more.
Two more. Why is my list wrong? Okay, two more. Sorry.
At least on my list, anyway.
Okay.
Yeah, this is another one that windows are open and it's not in good shape. I have been inside of that. Talked with the neighbors and said that people have moved out, changed ownership recently. Apparently, before it was on a rent-to-own basis, and the person that was renting to own that now is listed as the owner of the home, but it is in bad shape, and I would like to see at least them have a plan put together to try to rehabilitate it and get it fixed.
No contact with the owners?
I have not received any contact from the owners, and I'm not sure if they're here or not.
Looks like it has an electrical service hookup.
I believe that there is electricity to it, but according to the neighbors, nobody was staying in it. When I went by that last week, I couldn't find any evidence of anybody staying in it.
Interesting. Somebody's paying the electric bill. Okay. Gentlemen, your preference on this?
Well, I think we proceed.
Okay. All right. You want to make the motion?
Yeah, I'd make a motion that we set the date of February 23rd, 2017 at 5:30 p.m. for a public hearing to consider condemnation of 1207 North 8th Street.
All right. Thank you, Fred. I'll second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All right. 3-0 on that one.
This is another one that we've received several complaints from members of the community about the house. It's sitting empty. Just keeps getting worse and worse. I mean, at the very least, I would like to have the owner try to work out a plan to rehabilitate it. And doesn't seem to be doing anything on their own. So
No contact with the owner?
I've not received any contact from the owner.
Is the owner present by chance? Okay. All right. I'll move that we set a date of February 23rd, 2017 at 5:30 p.m. for a public hearing to consider condemnation of 1304 West Myrtle Street.
I'll second the motion.
All right. Thank you, Leonard. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All right. 3-0 on that one. Okay. Thank you, Don. Appreciate the great work. Okay. M. Consider authorizing expending up to $40,000 for the purchase of a used, small, non-CDL sanitation truck. Okay, explain to me what all that means.
What all that means? Well, a little general information. At sanitation, we have 3 trucks, and you see them there that run 6 days a week. It takes a CDL, commercial driver's license, Class B, to drive these. And we have 3 CDL drivers that work 5 days a week with 1 day off. They rotate. And we have 1 backup CDL driver that drives when another driver's off. Sick, vacation, or on his day off. So the backup driver drives 3 days a week and throws trash 2 days a week. 1 day off. When we have 2 drivers gone, then the 2 guys that work on the back, they have to take a flatbed out, fill it full of trash, go find a route truck, throw it into the route truck. So they're actually double handling it, which is, and bags break, and it's kind of a mess. Really kind of unsanitary. But I have a CDL driver that's leaving after the first of the year, so I'm going to be down to 3 drivers, and they're going to have to work 6 days a week with no days off. And a little history or whatever. The last CDL driver we hired about a year and a half ago, he was told that he was a backup and he would have to throw trash. Well, he worked 10 minutes and walked off the job because he wasn't going to throw trash. But
So if they get their CDL, they can make a lot more money doing something else.
yes,
The long and the short of it.
and not have to throw trash.
Is that difficult to get? I don't even know what that involves. Could I go get one?
If you study hard and
Oh, I'm a terrible driver, but
well,
okay.
the pre-trip gets you most people because you have to go around the truck and point out all the safety features and everything while somebody from Chinook's walking with you.
Okay.
A KHP person.
So it's not impossible to get some
It's
people
not impossible.
with their CDLs.
No, and I've talked to the guys down there, some of them, and they just have no interest in getting a CDL.
Okay.
But
How about your wife? Could she get hers?
no, see,
Back up.
yeah, back up. The 2 pictures on the bottom is a couple examples of what I'm looking at. They're 6-yard trucks. You don't have to have a CDL to drive them, and they can still, handle the trash 1 time without handling it twice. Might take 2 trips to the landfill instead of 1, but that's about 30 minutes. And the picture on the top is our oldest spare truck. We have 3 spare trucks, and when we use that for a trade-in, maybe get $5,000-$10,000 out of it. I don't know.
So the weight of the truck is what makes the difference for the CDL requirement?
Yes, 26,000 and under.
Okay.
Doesn't take a CDL. 27,000 up. Our tandem trucks are 34,000 empty and about 52,000 when they're loaded.
Have we ever had one of these smaller trucks before?
Way back in the 70s, yes.
Okay. So the city has tried this before, and
Well, that's what they started out with.
okay.
They started out with small trucks and just got
Yep.
bigger and bigger and bigger.
So one of those smaller trucks, will it cover a route, so to speak? Will it?
No, it'll only hold 6 yards. The big trucks hold 25. So I say it's going to be a couple more trips to the landfill, but you're not double handling it.
It'll get us through in a pinch.
Yes. So that's
Any thoughts on this?
Yeah, I can understand the problem, but I don't know if that's the solution. We're talking about in the past of maybe trash service 1 day a week instead of 2. And then if we're looking at shorter capacity, double the trips to the landfill, increase fuel, the initial 40,000. If the problem we can't attract CDL drivers is because of our wage,
right.
Maybe take the money and increase the wage for a CDL driver and maybe hold them longer, but they wouldn't get trained to move on.
right.
But if we go to trash service once a week, then it changes our needs. If we go to polycart, we've got a lot of things we're looking at, and retention of employees
Right.
is something that would really save
I agree.
the training, and is something we need to look at, maybe making the wage more attractive, that the workers would want to get CDLs, or we could attract drivers with CDLs.
Right.
And then we don't have the same maintenance, we wouldn't have maintenance on another vehicle.
You need to keep in mind, though, a CDL driver is a PSW2, And we have those in other departments. So if you do that in this department, you're looking at changing those wages for the other departments as well, because we have to be consistent.
Right.
PSW2 and sanitation makes the same as therm, water, and sewer or street. So you're not looking at just, a few people, you're looking at other departments as well.
Yeah.
And part of the issue is those CDL drivers that are a backup do not want to throw trash. So, that is part of the issue, so.
Well, right now, we've got Mike working pretty much 6 days a week, if not 7, and we're working him to death. He needs some relief of some kind.
Good to know. So you don't have one in mind to buy. You're asking for permission to
Well,
buy it if one comes on the
Those
market?
two there at the bottom are for sale.
Oh, they are, okay.
Yeah, one's
All right.
35, one's 37,
Okay.
without trade.
Without trade?
Without trade.
Those are samples that are available right now.
Yes, they are.
Okay. And you think this is the best solution?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. I like what Leonard said about offering better pay, incentive for people to go get their CDL. But I
Right.
mean, if you offer a $2,000 bonus to go get their CDL, I can see them getting it and then moving on to a
Yeah.
much higher paying job. Or
Yep.
Well, I didn't mean a
Yeah.
bonus to hire them,
right, but a
just
higher wage.
Yeah.
an hourly.
Yeah.
PSW2.
Got it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know what that wage needs to be? Do you have an idea?
That what?
To attract the CDL, or is there some other way maybe to structure it?
About 15 an hour.
So you're looking at a significant raise.
Yep. I mean, you can go drive a cement truck for $15, $16 an hour.
You're saying that's an ongoing expense if you do that.
Right.
Well, either way, it's an ongoing expense. The vehicle, insurance, maintenance, fuel.
Well, I mean, yes, but you're swapping out one truck for another. Your insurance is going to stay the same.
And you said earlier, Jen, that we've got the money to do this in the budget. Gentlemen, what's your pleasure?
Well, Mike's hired to run the sanitation department. I think he knows what we need to do. I agree with the CDL idea about trying to get a better wage and stuff. I think it opens Pandora's box that, I'd like to be able to do it from the aspect that we do everybody's wage that way, but that makes it more attractive, and you also have better retention rates that way. But I don't know that we're in a position budget-wise to do that,
So
I
you
guess
want
that's where the rate study comes in, where we look at our expenses in the departments to see how we're.
Well, don't forget now that, he also said that he's working 7 days, 7 days a week. So, I don't.
I'm going to move that we authorize spending up to $40,000 for the purchase of a used, small, non-CDL sanitation truck.
Is that a motion?
Do I have a second?
Yeah, I'll second it.
All right. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed?
Well, opposed.
All right. 2-1 on that one.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Happy hunting. Okay. Consider authorizing selling excess equipment. What's going on here?
We have some excess equipment. Some of it is medical air equipment. One of them's a generator that the water and sewer department had. And we would like permission to receive proposals to see what kind of prices we can get and then bring it back to you guys. And if you determine that's a good price, then we can sell them. And otherwise, if we don't get anything, there's other options like Purple Wave. But the thing is, you can't set a reserve. So we'd like to try to, get some proposals first because we want to get the best price for them. And so we would like permission to seek proposals to sell this excess equipment.
There's several of these items, like it says a generator.
The bottom right is the generator. It was in the southeast pump lift station, and when they replaced that, they took it out. It actually doesn't have very many hours on it. It's practically new. So
But
we
don't
think
have a need for it?
no. They've talked about retrofitting it and using it other areas, and they don't think it would work well. So that's what that one is. The other three are like medical air units. I mean, we're not ever going to use those. Air compressors for medical air, and there's maybe some other healthcare provider or something could utilize them or sell them. So rather than sitting around, we might as well get some cash out of them.
Yeah, I doubt you'll get much, but I can't
Gonna
see not doing
advertise
it.
them.
Better than nothing.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
Advertise them in a-
Yeah.
We were supposed to have a portable generator for the lift station.
We do have one.
So that, at one time, I think, there was some discussion about relocating.
Yeah, they were
that
going to try
one,
to
or where
retrofit it
was
to a
that?
trailer, but they ended up, and Terry, I think, is here. They ended up getting one that is on a trailer, and actually we have used it. We used it at the park one time for a
Okay.
concert when we didn't have power on the 4th of July. I mean, we've used it in other areas, so we do have that.
That's not large enough to serve at the water treatment plant
No.
either.
No, he said he needs a much larger one. I think he's here if you have any questions,
Yeah.
Terry.
There's no, with it being that new, Terry, is there any value of looking at trading it in towards a larger generator for the water treatment plant?
There could be some value there, yes. And that's an option we can look at is trade in on, since how we're looking at doing some modifications out there. But I didn't know if we could get a better value by selling it outright and then
We could
putting that money back, or kind of look and see what we can do with it.
I'd definitely look to see how we can get the best, if we can sell it and get more than trading it in.
You know.
That would be the way to go.
It's a 150 kW unit, Cummins genset, and it probably has about 100 hours on it is all. So
I can't see any reason not to go ahead and see what we can get for them, and we can always decide later not to take
right.
not to make the deal.
Right. I'd say go for it.
Yeah. Do you want a motion to give you the authority to do that?
Please.
So we're going to authorize staff to
Receive proposal.
receive proposals to sell excess equipment. That work? All right. May I have a second, please?
Second.
All right. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Great. Thank you, everyone, for taking the initiative on that. MAC funding. Anybody prepared to give us some background on this?
We got a letter in the mail today, and I put it in the revised packets where Mac is asking for basically the 25, but
We always paid about the same, but a couple of years ago, they jumped out and upped theirs just unilaterally.
Right. Coffeyville.
Coffeyville did.
Yeah, so Coffeyville has basically issued a challenge to us to match them.
Yes.
Well, if we match, we should go with 25,001, don't you think? I don't know exactly what brought this about. We've already done the budgeting for the year. I know that I can see Coffeyville's perspective. If it was switched around and I was saying, wait, why are we paying 25 and Coffeyville's paying 17? So I can see why they said, well, we'll pay 25 if Independence will. But
And I'd like, how are those amounts determined? Is that,
Just from historically.
yeah, they
many
just
years ago, there was a formula, and it had to do with populations and different things. I remember seeing one many years ago. It used to be a formula that they used to determine it.
But it's kind of voluntary. Coffeyville had voluntarily raised
Yeah, they
theirs to
raised theirs
25.
on their own.
Right.
it was voluntary?
Yes.
I mean, it's all voluntary, but
Well,
I can't think of anything more important than economic development for this area. But I don't know that adding $8,000 at this point will make any difference.
We do have that money available in the Economic Development Fund, however, if you would like to do that. But I'm with Gary. Beat him by one.
Yeah.
What are you guys thinking about this? Leave it where it is, or accept their challenge?
Well, I think I'd like to hear a presentation from MAC before we make a commitment to, and then also look at the Economic Development Fund that we have, the breakdown, how we're designating money coming out. And we've committed some for the hangar renovation, and we've discussed possible other commitments for some money. So look at a priority. Since it's at the last hour, we've already set the budget
Right.
for 2017. I'm not opposed to doing something or increasing, but I think we need to look at our planning, that we cover our bases here, that we're committing to economic development. And
Yeah.
so
I had a long talk with the director of MAC today, and he said, we didn't ask Coffeyville to give the $25,000. They just did it. They just threw out that challenge to Independence, like, we'll give 25 if Independence will give 25. And he said, that wasn't my idea. I didn't ask them to do it.
Right.
I'm not asking you to do it. So it's just,
Well, if you take the 25 and you add the 17, that's 42. If you divide that by 2, that's 21 apiece.
However, they have worded it that they would give the same amount as us. So,
yeah.
Well, that's.
I mean, I don't know how intent they are on that, but I mean, I
See,
think
I
it would
don't-
be great to bring Mac in and we
I
can pull
agree
out the
with
budget
them. I think
book.
we need to hear from them, but I mean, if it's a money issue, then
They're just making it sound like if we don't give, they won't give either.
Yeah, that was.
I don't
That's
know.
the motion they made, exactly. Okay, you want to invite the
ask Tom
interim director to
or
come in?
board or somebody to come in.
Okay, so just leave it where it is
Yeah.
for now and
table.
invite Tom in to speak to us. Okay, sounds good. All right, so no action on that one. Update on city projects.
Terry, you want to give them an update on the water line project?
Well, there hasn't been much happen lately. We've been waiting on a contractor to finish the bore. We're going to go out tomorrow and start laying the line across in front of their property while we're waiting on them to get their bore finished and that pipe put in, so we can go ahead and get that laid in there.
This is, on which side of Peter Pan are we talking about?
On the east side.
Okay.
And once we get that in, they get that bore finished, then we just have to tie it all together and finish it up next couple of weeks. Yeah, end of December. I told them the end of November, so not too bad.
So waiting on the contractor with the boring machine at this
Yeah.
point. Okay.
Waiting on them to get that finished.
Any questions, gentlemen? All right. Thank you, sir. What else?
Penn and Laurel repair, that is going to be significantly cheaper in the spring, and it'll probably be on the next agenda about the quotes.
Okay, great. Any other city projects to discuss? Vicki?
No.
All right. Okay. Moving along to Q, report on city board minutes.
The Planning Commission approved minutes were in your packet.
Great. Okay. Any comments on those, gentlemen?
No.
Okay. All right. Commissioner comments. And we have no public concerns, right? Okay. Then I would like to call for an executive session, perhaps 20 minutes for non-elected personnel. I'd like to have the three commissioners, Mickey, and our city attorney there. Can I have
Make a
a s-
motion, we go into executive session, unelected personnel, protect privacy, so forth and so forth, for 20 minutes.
I'll second. All in favor, please say aye.
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 All right. The commission give me authorization to send a letter to Mickey saying the following. Pursuant to paragraph 3 of your employment contract, you are hereby notified that the City Commission intends to terminate your employment contract at the end of its current term, March 31st, 2017, and that it will not automatically renew for another term. May I have a second on that?
Second.
All right. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All right. Any other action, gentlemen? I think we're good to adjourn then.
Motion, we go home.
Move we
I'll
adjourn.
second.
All right. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thanks, everyone.